But it's always better to talk about the people you know and love than it is to go into too much deep politics. So let me give you a little taste of it here, and then we'll get you on to the wild things of a Sunday night. Yeah, when the factory was going through shifts, it could get pretty wild. I know it's kind of shifted. So, what's going on? What's up right now? I like that. Those were just funny that we've turned it into kind of a pink, kind of sort of a romantic flavor. I'm thinking it's Swiss heritage out of Blair. Somehow it's got a little rhythm to it. I know, but there's something deeper going on. Let me take you to just what happened today. They had elections today in France and Greece. Those are really far away places. And the interesting thing is that, it's often, when we have elections, they often say, oh, I don't like John Kerry. He's almost French. Although I'll note that Mitt Romney spent 2 years in France. He is French. But we have this thing of, that we don't always like bad ideas imported from Europe. And the worst idea imported from Europe, probably since smelly cheese, was, with all due respect to Rome, was austerity. Austerity is the concept that rich people get to go to a fabulous party. They get to have the best fun you can absolutely imagine. They get to drive the best cars, eat the best food, drink the best wine, fly in their own airplanes, drive, be driven places. They don't drink water out of a, glass. They drink it out of a, like a bottle that's brought from someplace very distant. They don't bathe in water. They bathe in the water from someplace very distant. They live this fabulous life. They spend on everything they can. And then when the bill comes due, what austerity says is, well, we have to pay it. We people, we the working folks, got to pay the bill for those rich folks because they're the job creators, right? They're the ones who make everything happen. It's as if every day we went to work, every drop of sweat that came down our forehead, every sore muscle that somebody had when they came out of a farm field or out of a factory meant nothing. Not a thing. All the wealth that we created meant nothing because the rich people went to a party and we had to pay the bill. That's what austerity says. You always got to pay for the rich guy. You always got to take care of him. Well, in Europe, when they had the economic downturn, they said, well, we're going to do austerity. We're going to cut unions. In France, they increased the hours of work you had to pay. They said you had to retire later. They said your pension was smaller. They did all these changes, right? Same thing in Greece. I mean, they were beating the hell out of Greece. Say, oh, well, you guys, you mean you want to have dental care for your, no, that is not going to happen. So they got all these austerities. They're cutting everything over there. Now, President Obama didn't go that way. President Obama, they beat the hell out of him for it. He said, no, we're going to have a stimulus. We think instead of cutting everything, if the economy gets slow, you ought to put some money in, try and gin it up, try and make it work. And so you know where it's working better than anywhere in the world right now? Do you know where it's actually, where we aren't in a, kind of what they call the Eurozone crisis? It's the United States. And do you know what's happening? All the conservatives, even conservatives, like the Economist magazine, the big business magazine, says, we got to look to America because they did that stimulus. They didn't do enough, actually. They didn't do it enough, but they figured out it's much better to do that than to do the cuts. And so in France today, they had elections for president of France. And Nichols Sarkozy, the very guy, he doesn't, man. You see that Woody Allen movie, Midnight in Paris? Anybody see that? See the really cool tour guide, that Carlos Rudy? That's his life. Like, he's married to a Hollywood starlet. He's like such a glamorous president. But he don't bought into the austerity thing. He bought into the cut. And so there was this kind of nebbish guy. Now, he's a pretty good-looking guy. He's good. He reminds me a little bit of Andy Jordan. Kind of an Andy Jordan sort of guy. He was his opponent. They said, well, the Andy Jordan sort of guy isn't married to a Hollywood starlet. The Andy Jordan guy looks like he probably worked at the GM plant, was a member of UAW Local 95. But the Andy Jordan guy beat Nichols Sarkozy because he said it's time to end austerity and start taking care of our workers. It's the very first time in history that there's been a round of applause for a French election result. And then down in Greece they had elections, so it's true. No, everybody's beating up on Greece all over the place. Well, there was a party of the trade unions called Syriza, and it's a coalition of all the trade unions. It's always been, it's kind of been on the sidelines of the politics of the country. It's been a weaker party. They have, kind of a mainstream union party. It's the party of the more militant unions. It'd be like the UAW party, right? And they got 5% of the vote. They were always like a fourth or fifth party. Today in the elections, they tripled their vote and became the official opposition party in Greece, swept into the dominant position in parliament because they said, we reject austerity, we believe in investing in our people, investing in education, investing in our services. And just like France, there was an overwhelming vote in Greece against austerity. Yeah. All right. Why is this guy talking about austerity? Because I love Greece and I love me some France. And we're delighted that we have some friends from Macedonia who moved here. Well, there was one American who really bought into the austerity concept. There's one guy who said, you know what? I want to be just like Nichols Sarkozy. I don't want a movie starlet wife, or at least I want to be thought of in that way. I want to be European, like the cool European. And this guy decided that he would get ahead of everybody else in America. He'd bring the austerity model to the United States. And so he got elected governor of Wisconsin in November of 2010. Now, I bet you many of you have not thought of Scott Walker as French. But he did the austerity model. I'm kidding you. He came in and he said, well, the problem here is not that rich people had the biggest party ever. No. The problem is that we pay our snowplow drivers too much. Because everybody knows what a pleasure it is to get up on a January morning at 2 a.m., put a case of Dr. Pepper on the seat next to you, and drive for 15 hours to make sure that every road is cleared and that people can get to work and get to their small businesses and make things happen. So there is horrible. The only thing worse than a snowplow driver is a teacher. They come across the lake on their yacht, pick up their fabulous checks. Oh yeah, I know Wisconsin leads the country and all the tests and that, but anybody could. Why, I bet you if we adopted some of those Mississippi policies, we'd probably still live in $6 lines. No, that's the austerity concept. You can just dumb it down enough, it's all going to work. People don't really need teeth. And that was not a Mississippi. So, guys, he said, we got to do austerity in Wisconsin because we got this big buck. That woman is still laughing. She said no. She turned her friend and said, no, that was West Virginia. All right. So he comes in. He cuts the wages. Right? And he does, because when you cap wages against inflation, that's what you do. That is a cut. He actually goes straight in and cuts, effectively creates a situation where benefits are going to be cut, health care, etc.